Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Nithin and Kailash, for coming all the way from Bengaluru. Thankfully, Nithin didn't know it was Holi today in Mumbai. He was planning to chill in Bangalore, but he realized it's Holi after coming here. So small mercies.
No, I got to know yesterday that today is Holi, and it was too late.
Yeah. So thank you very much again for coming on Money Control's India Fintech Conclave. And as Nikki mentioned, zero is the favorite word at Zerodha. Zero funding, zero debt, zero loss. But how long did it sort of take for you to become profitable, Nithin? And was that always the way you wanted to build a company?
Yeah. No. Firstly, thanks for having us here. Both Kailash and I, first thing we noticed were there were glass bottles. So thanks for whoever thought of having glass bottles instead of plastic. So see, when we started the business, there was no big ambitions. We were really thinking building Zerodha as an extension to what we were doing, Nikhil and I as traders back then. And Nikhil continued trading. I thought, I have an opportunity to go build a broking business, and that's how the business started. Actually, the first year of the business was profitable because of Nikhil's trading. In a sense, his trading profits was, in a way, a seed capital for the first 1 or 2 years. But the business became, profitable from operations of sorts. I think from the 3rd year onwards. And so I think, see, in the journey, I think the reason we are profitable is because we have never spent money acquiring a user, right? And this was a concept, I think, as a trader, I knew this very well, that looking at an advertisement doesn't get you to trade, right? The trigger to get you to trade is more, more peer induced. I'm trading, I make some money, I tell my friend, oh, I traded. He asked me, where did I trade? I let him know, right? As in, it was more peer induced. And so we said, so spending for advertising didn't make sense. And especially at the low cost at which we were working, if you spend 3, 4, 5,000 rupees acquiring a user, there was absolutely no clarity on how you ever, kind of recover that money. So the stance of not advertising is really what has helped us stay profitable, and which has also meant that it has made it almost like for us, forced upon us that you have to constantly keep doing something different. Because if you want the word of mouth to continue happening, you need to keep doing something different as a business. So that's really how the business has evolved.
At what point did you think that Zerodha is here to stay? The aha moment when you thought you were on to something, that this is not going to fail and I don't have to quit my startup.
Yeah.
Kailash?
Yeah.
How is Kailash?
No, in the sense, until 2015, we were building on top of vendor products, right? 2015 is when we launched Kite, our in-house web and mobile app. And so when we saw the reception the customers gave, was the aha moment of sorts, and that was really when I thought, there's an opportunity to go kind of, potential for us to become large as a business. I think we both were, on our way to Cochin for one press conference in December of 2015, and we decided, at the airport, I said, we haven't done anything special. People don't look at Zerodha for investing; they look at us only for trading. Why don't we go zero brokerage for equity investing? It took us 2 minutes to decide this, and the next day we announced. So we were kind of at the right place, right time, bunch of times. But the rightest place was 2015, 2016 for 3 reasons. Kite was launched, we went zero brokerage, and then in 2016 you could start onboarding a customer online, completely digitally. So all those 3 things came together, and that was really, I think 2016 was really the aha moment.
The aha moment, yeah. Nithin, I heard something that you said recently, I think at another event, that in the early days of Zerodha, you used to do a lot of telecalling. And so Nithin had a different telecalling name for himself, which was Sachin or something. Tell us about that.
So I worked in a call center for 3 years, between 3.5 years, between 2001 to 2005. It was one of those US call centers. I used to call myself Nathan Hawk, because this was really when Mission Impossible had launched. And I kind of found a lot of power behind a pseudonym, because on a phone, it just is more powerful. And I've always been a sales guy, in the sense I've always liked selling. I've sold a bunch of things through my life. So yeah, so when we first started Zerodha, you can't be the CEO of a company cold calling, right? I mean, so yeah, so I started talking to customers as Sachin, and yeah, the first 1 year, I think the first 3,000 or 4,000 customers, I must have spoken to 2,500, 3,000. I mean, 90% of them actually. So.
Wow. Kailash, you've sort of built the tech stack for Zerodha, and I remember the last time we spoke, you said you have 33 members in your tech team, and only 2 of them have left in a decade. So what do you do to retain talent? Because people have had to give all kinds of financial incentives and other incentives to attract and retain talent. What did you do differently?
There's no formula, and I think the key is that we don't really look at people as resources or talent. We don't even use the word talent. That's not our framework. So it's a group of people who hang out with each other, who have the right philosophies, who gel well with each other. And there's no pretense. So it's human decency, I guess, and a clear focus on building relationships. There's really no formula.
But, you know, as you scale, is it possible to have that framework, just a bunch of people mingling with each other? Because if I look at Zerodha today, you operate at a different scale, right? I mean, for FY22, some 4,964 crore of revenue, 2,000 crore of profits, and you still have 1,100 employees and 33 in your tech team. So how is it possible to have that when you're scaling so fast as a company?
I think it's a misconception that the number of people in a tech or engineering team scales linearly with the organization in terms of financial transaction or the number of users or revenue. It's absolutely possible for a really small team to build massive systems that scale to really massive numbers. So it's generally a misconception. For me, if an engineering team grows exponentially as the company and its business grows, that is a bit of an anomaly.
Okay. And, you know, any founding principles that you had while building the tech stack that sort of continue till today?
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping things really simple and having the conviction to avoid FOMO. I think a lot of organizations end up building way too many things, chasing short-term growth, short-term metrics. We've always had a simple and singular conviction of building things that are meaningful to our customers. So we've never really rushed to release new features or build new features arbitrarily. In fact, we discuss and shoot down most things internally. So it's just keeping things simple and only always building for first principles and truly owning a technology stack. So one thing that I'm really pleased about is the fact that we only have really small external dependencies and everything is housed and owned in-house. We understand our technology stack really well to take it any way forward. And that also gives us immense regulatory agility. So it's just common sense first principles and the conviction to not fall prey to FOMO or shiny trends in technology.
But Nithin, do you worry whenever you see Zerodha down trending on Twitter? Do you call Kailash? Kailash, what are you doing?
No, I mean, thankfully, what happened in 2017-18 is the first time we scaled really quickly. And stockbroking is, now that last 5-6 years I've interacted with founders from across different industries, I think it's one of the most complex pieces of technology because of all the dependencies that you have across exchanges, depositories, lease lines, etc. So a lot of issues that we faced in 2017-18 was mostly with a certain dependency of, that we had on, which didn't scale as well as we thought it will. And, but over the last 2-3 years, it's not really been an issue. But that said, see, there's no tech that can't be down. And so we do have, small little issues once in a while. And now I've stopped reacting to those, trending and, all the emails that land in my inbox, every time there's a, like, oh, chart's not working, like, cheat, con, fraud, Nithin, something, so it's stopped affecting me. I think if it affected me, as much as it did many years back, I don't think we would have survived, so.
Right. One of the lenses that VCs use to invest is market size. And I think you stirred a hornet's nest when you spoke about the actual size of fintech in India. I think you said 10 to 15 crore users. Do you still stand by that? Don't you think there is a larger addressable market considering we have all types of apps servicing all different segments of society?
I mean, I probably overestimated.
Okay, even that is...
No, I mean, see, the thing is, fintech are two things, right? One is all the investing and savings app, right? So you're kind of building it for people who have the money. And then there is lending, which is you're building for everyone who don't have the money. And the ones who don't have the money, I mean, you have a large population, right? I mean, that's probably larger than 15 crores. But are they lendable? I don't know, right? So, but the ones who have the money, you have to assume that it's kind of a subset of people who make at least 30, 40,000 rupees a month, right? As in, it's very hard to figure how a family, a household, which makes less than 30 or 40,000 rupees can actually, you know, how much can they really have at the end of the month to be able to save, invest? Of course, you can build an app, and even if are they even monetizable is a question, right? I mean, if you are spending, say, 2,000, 3,000 rupees acquiring this user, and if they're doing 100 rupee SIP, you'll take forever to even recover anything, you know? So I think the real problem to solve for the country, you know, and it's very exciting to know what the government's doing in terms of pushing for entrepreneurship. And you know, the reason I think we guys are still excited with what we do at Zerodha is because we think if Indians understood more about risk taking, there'll be more entrepreneurs, there'll be more capital available for entrepreneurship. Because eventually, if India has to go up the per capita ladder, you know, I mean, I think it has to come through entrepreneurship. And we kind of believe that what we're doing at Zerodha in some way is probably helping it in some form. You know, so.
Right. Kailash, you know, we heard the minister talk about a bunch of regulations that are coming. The RBI executive director made a very interesting point. He said the onus is on fintechs to ensure that they build responsible products. How do you sort of build products in anticipation of regulation? Because Nithin often likes to say that I'm, you know, one SEBI circular away from perhaps losing half of my business. I mean, that's his favorite line. But how do you sort of build in anticipation of regulation that, you know, you don't fall on the regulator's bad side?
I'd like to think that, no, I know that our approach is really conservative. We've grown in scale as a business, as a technology company, as a financial services company, but our approaches have largely been very conservative and rooted in the principles of potential regulation. So many a times when crazy regulations have just appeared overnight, where we've been forced to completely change our systems and business processes, we've been able to because we always end up imbibing that potentiality in our business processes and in our technology. So I would say it's really, it's an integral part of a product development philosophy. We don't really see it as a business feature or a financial offering or a technology solution. It's also in equal parts a regulatory solution also. So I guess over the last decade, it's really become cultural to us that whatever we build, whatever we envision, there's a huge regulatory/risk perspective that we apply. So I guess if you do that enough, over time, you kind of get good at it. And you kind of get good at predicting what can be changed, what can go wrong. And not doing dodgy stuff and keeping things really simple, you know, helps.
So no move fast, fail fast,
no,
break things.
definitely not.
No,
yeah.
also I keep saying this. I think for all of these regulated businesses, having a regulatory foresight is like super important as well. Like, you know, one of the things that we kept discussing about was, you know, this whole digital gold, you know, and it never felt right because of the way it was structured. And we knew that one day, you know, we'll get up and maybe SEBI will say, you know, you can't offer digital gold. So, you know, just because it didn't make sense, we never took the effort of doing this. And one day, SEBI did get up one day and said, you know, it didn't. So I think if you have to kind of work with the spirit of regulation and not really explicit regulations. And that staying in spirit of regulation is also probably one of those, you know, me being fearful of regulation so much is not just outside, even within internally, you know, I'm constantly saying, you know, we're just one regulation away, you know, from getting, you know, like, so everyone in the business is, you know, is focused on what are the regulatory changes. You know, Kailash has built like a internal utility for us, you know, where all the circulars get listed every day. And, you know, we are a bunch of us, we are looking and seeing what's the impact of this. And
maybe we can get access to that, you know, and easy to keep up.
I'm sure he'll open source it, you know, so.
Right. Final couple of questions. Nithin, you've often described Kailash as your guru, or Dr. K as you call him. Why is that? In what ways has he influenced you?
Yeah, no, I mean, so the thing is, see, I'm a trader. Like, I started my business, I mean, not even business, I started my career as a trader wanting to make X amount of money and all my material goals. When I started business, I came from the same school of thought, which thought that throwing people at problems solves problems, right? And I thought, you should grow at all cost, right? I mean, some of these philosophies change as and when, I spend more time with K, so, so we were 1,100 people on our team in 2017 when we were less than 1 million customers. We are 1,100 people on the team today with 11 million customers, right? So now every time we are looking at hiring, I'm questioning, do we really need this person, right? Because I've now come to believe, like how K says that, I think, people complicate problems, they hardly ever solve, I mean, it's not, more people don't really, make it easier for you. We have used everything possible technologically, internally to, leverage and become more efficient as a business. And as we grew the business, there was success, right? As in, it's very easy for the success to go to your head and, but, I think having him around has kept it very grounded. And then we are like, what is, even success brings obligation, and what do we do about it? I mean, these are all questions maybe I would have asked myself, but having him around has been like a Guruji, who is...
Clearly, it's not easy to get a job offer from Kailash. No?
I think it's because we color coordinate our attire. And this wasn't planned. This is just a coincidence.
Finally, Nithin, your entire business is based on people trading stocks. Will Zerodha ever do an IPO?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I've said this before, it's kind of borderline hypocritical if the largest broker in the country says, I won't list on the exchange and create wealth for, people, when we are asking everyone else to do this. No, the problem for the business, like I said, we are just one regulation away from a large hit to the business.
You're like that topper in school who always says, I've done my exams badly, and then comes on top of the topper.
No, it is. I mean, you won't even believe the kind of regulatory risk our business has. A lot of our revenue comes from, firstly, based on the market action, right? As in, which is absolutely out of your control. If you were to ask me, Nithin, what will you do next quarter? I have zero idea. Zero clue in terms of user growth, trading volume. I have nothing. If you ask me trading volume and user growth, I'll say, can you tell me what Nifty will do? I'll tell you, right? It's really as clueless. And I don't think we can afford to get the retail, who are the lowest in the food cycle in terms of the risk-taking ability, to be investing into a business when there is no little predictability in the business. Like, while wealth creation has to happen in the market, but I think it has to happen with lower amounts of risk for retail investors. So I don't think we are still ready. I mean, we hope that one of these years we get up and we have built enough different things to do as a business where the dependency on the capital markets is not as much. And then, we can, we would want to come there, list and, hopefully create some wealth as well. But I don't know when that will happen, to be very honest.
Right. On that note, thank you very much, Nithin and Kailash.
Thanks.